Hello, welcome to Pilates Reformer Introduction. So this is the Reformer intro class that I teach when I do free 30-minute intros at the YMCA here in Lexington, Kentucky. The only difference is that this intro probably will not be 30 minutes. So I want to take a little bit more time than I do in one of those intros and kind of explain things a little bit more. This is also a good practice for those of you that have a reformer at home and just want to follow through something that's not too complicated for personal practice. It's also not too long. And just to kind of keep in mind, if you're interested in taking an intro, please contact me. My contact information is at the end of this video. If you're in Lexington, I can help get you signed up for a free 30-minute intro. Just know that your intro is going to be faster than what I'm about to show you. But also note that when you're taking a real, true level 1 class, which is where everybody starts, it will probably be at about the pace that I'm going to show you or a little bit slower. So do keep that in mind. Also keep in mind the reformer machine today that I'm demoing on is a balanced body. This is the Allegro 2. So the spring changes and cueing that I'm going to give there are based on balanced body. For this particular reformer, if you have a different balanced body reformer or a different brand of reformer, just know that there may be some differences in the resistance springs or cords that you may have. So you might have to kind of test things out to see if they are where they would be for your needs. So let's get started. So I like to kind of start people out a little bit, rolling out the spine and getting into some extension. So the spring I have on here is one red spring or maybe a medium type of a spring for resistance. You can stand behind your foot bar, hinge your reformer, feet about parallel hip width apart here. We'll zip up through the front body. So belly button is up and in towards the spine. Kind of relax through the hips a little bit here. Big inhale, reach and lengthen. Exhale as much as I can. I'm going to try to get this nice C-curve scoop as I round down. Now, I'm going to take my hands to the edge of this carriage. So I'm in my C-curve scoop here. And I'm going to press and I'm going to lengthen long. So notice how I've got a long spine here. Almost think about pressing the chest towards the springs a little bit here. Good. And then from here with control, I'm going to round, round, round. So I'm tucking that pelvis as I round. Always a good idea to bend those knees if you need to. I'm going to come all the way back into the stopper or as much as I can into the stopper. And we'll go for number 2. Just lengthen. Think about maybe biceps by the ears. Good. And exhale on the round. Inhale, lengthen number 3. Exhale on the round. And inhale number 4. Exhale and round. And last time, inhale, press out for 5. And then exhale on the round. Good. Now, from here, we're going to make a spring change. So I'm just going to add on my blue spring to my one red. So I'm on a red and a blue. And then from here, with a bend in the knees, I'm going to root from the hip to my feet into that 4. And I'm going to round, round, round here. So as much full body engagement as possible. I'm going to reach, reach, reach. And then maybe we'll open to the side, getting a nice little back bend here. And coming back to the beginning of the start. Okay, so I'm going to walk around to the side of my reformer. Good. I'm going to lie back on reformer. Now I have my headrest up here. This machine and most machines are made to have a headrest that can lift and lower. 100% optional. I like the way it feels, so I'm going to have mine up here. And then I'm going to turn around. And this is always about moving to getting in position in the way that's best for your body. So I'm going to take my feet on this foot bar. Good. And we're going to come to what's known as footwork. Now, some people are stronger in the legs and lower body, and you might use a little bit more into the footwork here, and that's okay too. But I'm going to roll my shoulders back. I'm still going to zip up here. So I'm going to think about my balls of the feet are on my reformer. I'm gonna zip my feet, my knees, and legs together. I've got all 10 toes wrapped around that bar. I'm gonna let the heels settle down. I'm zipped up into the core and big inhale, exhale. I'm gonna press and lengthen for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm gonna come back in. Good. I'm gonna go to a Pilates V now. So I'm gonna take my heels together. I'm gonna pretend like they're magnetically sealed together. And so I've got a V here. So think about my fingertips are at the toes, about a fist width apart between the 2 big toes. Your knees are no wider than the box of your shoulder blades or your shoulder rest. You're still wrapping all 10 toes. And then from here, I'm gonna zip. When I zip, everything zips up together. And then the knees will open back into that V. And here's 2, 3, core stays nice and tight. Breathe and expand that rib cage. And I think this is 5. So we'll come back in here. Good. Now I'm going to keep all 10 toes wrapped around that bar. Now I'm in parallel hip width apart. So hips, knees, and toes are going to track through the ceiling. They're that hip width apart. In the hip bones, not about how wide you think you are, but where those hip bones are. And then from here, readjust if you need to, rolling the shoulders back, zipping up from pubic bone to behind the navel, belly button in, and we press. 1. Try not to let the knees fall in. 2. Pressing evenly both sides. 3, 4, and 5. Good. We're going to come back in here. While we're here, we're going to come into arches. So I'm going to take that bar in the center part of the foot. Now, I'm in the center part of my foot. Some people like to be closer to the ball of the foot. Some people like to be closer to the heel. So it's all about personal preference. Today, I'm just going to let those toes naturally curl. I'm going to stay in parallel hip width apart. And I'm going to press. 1, 2, pressing evenly into both sides of the feet. 3, 4, 5, and we'll come back in. Good. So last set here with balls of the feet on. We're going to take the balls of the feet to the corners of the foot bar now. So now we're in a wider external or lateral rotation. So hip, knees, and toes are turning out away from the body. I still got all 10 toes wrapped around that bar. I'm letting the heels release here, rolling shoulders back, zipping up. So on an intro, I'm not the hugest stickler about how you breathe, because the most important thing I want you to do is to breathe and not hold your breath. There is a Pilates breath that we do. We learn that in level 1. It's a little bit more advanced in the higher levels. But for an intro, the most important thing is just to breathe. Because at the end of the day, the only wrong way to breathe is not breathing at all, right? So we're going to come back in. Good. Now, from here, we'll take the knees into the chest. We'll rock a little bit. I'm going to circle my ankles in one direction and then in the other. Good. And maybe paddle through the feet. We're going to work through all of that again, but this time the heels are going to be on. So I'm going to take my heels on the bar now. Feet together, knees together, thighs together. Heels are on, so I'm in a little bit of flexion in the feet. So let's just think of that. Thinking about taking the toes towards the face. Everything else is the same. Rolling the shoulders back, zipping up from pubic bone to behind the navel, pressing evenly and press away. Now, some people like me, due to how your legs are made or your bone structure, in order to make this work, you might need about a pencil or pinky width apart between the 2 heels. And if that's you, that is always okay. We work where we can work. We do the best we can do, and then we just don't worry about the rest. Good. And we'll come back in here. Good. Heels on, we're back into that Pilates V. So heels are still connected to each other, but they're on the bar. Feet are still in flexion. Toes, knees are opening out away from the body. Knees no wider than the box of your shoulders. And when you're ready, we'll press away and zip up. 1, 2, 3. We want to work on full range of motion here. 4 and 5. And we'll come back in. So if you notice, the nice thing about the reformer is that It is nice and smooth. It's not jarring on the joints like weight machines in a weight room might have. Good. So now we've got heels on, parallel hip width apart, feet are still in flexion. When you're ready, we'll press away. Good. So try not to let the feet roll in or roll out here, almost kind of like you're standing on a wall in front of you. Stay with the breathing. Again, I think we've got one more here. And as you do these, you're going to notice how there's a slight difference when you have heels on versus balls of the feet on. Good. So we're going to take the heels to the corners of the foot bar here. Good. We're flexing in the feet, so we're bringing the toes towards the shoulders. Hips, knees, and toes are turned away. They're going to track in that alignment as we press away and come back in. Now remember, for footwork, we want the tailbone and the bottom to be anchored onto your carriage, which is this moving part here the entire time. So we don't want to be in a hover. Good. And we'll come back in. Good. As you come all the way back in, take the knees into the chest, maybe a little rock, rock, rock side to side, rolling those ankles in one direction and then in the other. Good. And then sometimes it's nice to just take your legs up towards the ceiling and get a point and a flex or alternate here. Good. And then I like to have my students spread their toes wide and squeeze them together a few times. So our little toes help us so much in balance more than we think they do. They help us when we walk. And as we age, sometimes they just don't want to move like they do when we're young. So we want to try and keep them as supple as possible for as long as possible. And then when you're ready, good, we'll take the feet back down to the foot bar. Good. So now we're going to go into more core work or ab work and back work. And this is going to look like arm work, and you are working your arms, but it's the muscles in the back that are moving your arms. So that's why we call this the mid-back series. So I'm going to take my straps. Good. You have two sets of straps, long loop and short loop. Short loop is for a little bit more advanced work. We're going to keep this simple, so we're going to be in the long loop today. Good. We're going to take the knees into a tabletop position. So knees are going to come over the hips. Shins are going to be parallel to the floor. I like to practice with my legs together. Some people can't do that so much, so hip width apart is okay. I'm zipping the belly button in. Now I'm going to press into my straps lightly here just to come off the stopper. And hopefully when you do that, you felt a little bit more pelvic floor engagement. And then from here, palms are facing my feet and foot bar. I'm going to pull straight down as deep as I can go and come all the way back up. So there's one, exhale on the down, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to come back up. Good. So this is where I pause. Some people need a breather. So if you need to put your feet down onto the bar, that's okay. Otherwise, come back to tabletop legs. We're going to go into some T presses here. So I'm going to bring my arms down by the hips. I'm going to turn my palms towards the hips. Now I'm going to take my arms out into the T, and I'm going to exhale as I pull back into the hip. And here's 2, and 3, and 4, and 5. I'm going to pull my arms in, going into circles here, 3 in each direction. Take it up, out, down, and together. 1, 2, 3. Pause. We'll reverse. Out, up, and down. 1, 2, and 3. Good. From here, I'm going to reach nice and long. I want my elbows and upper arms to be connected to my carriage. I'm going to bend at the elbows here, and we're going to come into a tricep press. So you want your elbows to be in as tight to the body as much as you can, and we'll press and lengthen for 1, bend at the elbow. Press 2, bend at the elbow, belly button stays tight. Press 3, press 4, and press 5. Good. I'm going to reach long. I'm going to take my arms up. I'm going to take my feet to the foot bar. And I'm going to wiggle, wiggle, wiggle here. Maybe knees in one direction, arms to the other. So there's other exercises that we add on to that mid-back series as we progress. Remember, this is just an introduction. And I'm keeping things level 1. So I don't want to freak people out or try to get you to do something that your body's not quite ready or prepped for. Good. So we're going to go to the hundreds here. So when I teach the intro, I do one set of 50s. If everybody in the class, the intro class feels okay, then I'll take them through a second set of 50s. As you progress, you won't take the break. You'll do it as a continuous movement. So what this is you're inhaling for a count of 10. That's incorrect. You're inhaling for a count of 5. You're exhaling for a count of 5. And we'll do that 5 sets, 5 times. Okay. And you're also in a C curve here. Now, before we get into that, let me explain that. So your knees are going to be in the tabletop position. You're going to nod your chin and you're going to come up into the C curve. So I'm lifting my shoulders. I've got my chin tucked. I'm not jamming the chin into the chest, but I'm taking my gaze right here. Now, we don't want to practice like this because this creates a lot of tension in the neck, and you don't want the headache that comes a little bit later from doing that. However, that being said, if you are someone where a C curve in this position with the resistance is not a good idea for you, or you start to get tension in the neck and you've tucked your chin and you can't get it out of there, or you're just tired, I would like for you to lower your upper body down. Don't worry about the C curve. If your belly button is in tight and your arm movements are nice and tight down here, you're still working your core, okay? So don't be and stay somewhere where you can't maintain good form, you can't maintain good breath, and your only thought is, oh my gosh, when is this gonna be over? What is she trying to do? Why is she trying to kill me? That sort of thing, okay? So be mindful of that and how your body feels. Body awareness is part of learning Pilates. So we'll take the knees into the tabletop position. We're nice and tight. You want to think about that neutral spine. So your tailbone is anchored, your low rib cage is anchored to start, and your belly button is in. You've got that natural curvature in the low back. I'm going to press lightly into my straps again. So I'm feeling a little bit more connection. Big inhale to prepare. Exhale, I'm going to nod that chin. I'm going to lift my upper body. My arms are long and low. Good. Relaxing through the shoulders. Start pumping here. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, hold. We'll lift higher, reach deeper. Arms come up. We'll lower that back down. Feet to the foot bar. We'll wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. So this is a point where if the class feels okay and they want to go on to a second set of those, we will. I'm going to assume that's you, so we'll do a second set here. So just remember too, in the beginning, you probably noticed when I did that last set, my carriage didn't move a whole lot. That's normal in level 1 in the beginning. As you progress and your core becomes stronger and everything becomes a little bit tighter, your carriage won't move as much, and that comes with the control. So don't worry so much about that in the beginning. Just get used to the movement, and with time, it'll come. So from here, knees back in tabletop, finding safe neutral. Zipping up, pressing into your straps. Feel that pelvic floor lift. Big inhale. Exhale, C curve it up, reaching long and low. Start pumping. And we inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, hold. Lift higher, reach deeper. Arms lift, lower that down. Good. Taking knees to one side, arms to the other side, and then going into the other side. And we'll do that again. Good. Okay. So now we're going to do our signature feet into the straps. So the way that I like to teach this, I think is the safest. Both feet are on your foot bar. You'll press away. Think to yourself, which leg, which hip is my strongest? And then that's the foot that you're going to put into your strap first. So for me, that's my left. So I'm going to put my left foot in that big loop. Good. I'm going to press into that loop as I release the other foot, putting it in the other loop. Good. So now I've got both feet into the straps, and I'm going to press long here. And before you move, you want to try and make sure that your straps feel even to you. Sometimes they move on these machines, so it's important that we practice with even straps. And you want your straps at the same point on each feet. So you don't want one strap higher on one foot and lower on the other foot. So make sure you're even. Good. From here, we're going to do leg circles. We're going to go through 4 in each direction and 3 rotations. Okay, so there's 3 rotations of the hip. And so from here, just a few things to be mindful of. You know what? I'm just going to take out this ponytail here because, that feels so much better. Okay, so you want your tailbone and your bottom to stay connected onto the carriage. So if you're taking your legs back and you're feeling like you're releasing here, you're going too far back, okay? So you want to stay nice and anchored, okay? So from here, and there's a few other little technical cueings there, but for an intro, I don't go over those so much unless it looks like somebody's going to hurt themselves. But from here, if you know neutral spine, you want to stay in that neutral spine. So parallel, toes, knees, and hips are facing the ceiling. We're going to come up. We're going to come up to about 90 degrees-ish. 90 degrees-ish means that 90-degree angle. Okay, as you can say, I'm almost there, but not quite. We're going to come out to the side. You're going to go to your range of motion. And the first one is always your chest. It's always a throwaway because you've got to kind of get used to even pressure. How far out can you go with control? Okay, so everyone's going to look different there. I'm going to pull down and I'm going to come back in. And then I'm going to come back up. And here's 2. Good. And 3. And 4. Good. Now I'm going to pause at my diagonal. We're going to work this in the opposite direction. So I'm going to take it out to the side now. I'm going to come up and come together. I'm zipping at the thighs. I'm zipping at the core and at the glute. And we'll open for 2 and close. 3, stay with your breath. And 4. Good. From here, you can bend the knees for a little bit of a breather. Good. From here, we're going to go into the medial rotation. So toes, knees, and hips are going to turn inward. So for this one, I'm going to start at my diagonal. So you don't want to come too low. You don't want to be too high. Toes, knees, and hips are going to turn inward. Okay. So you want to try and keep them turned inward the whole time. On this one, I don't recommend coming wider than the width of your foot bar, just because this is an awkward rotation. And we'll come down. It's mostly people's smallest rotation. Good. And here's 2. And 3. And 4. Good. I'm going to come back up here. Now I'm going to reverse. Good. I'm open. I'm going to come down, come in, and come up. 1, 2, 3, or at least I think this is reverse. And 4. Good. When you're ready, just take those knees back into the chest. Rock, rock, rock. So this next one tends to be the easiest for most people. By way of rotation, hips, knees, and toes turn out. You're in that external lateral rotation, but it's also the one that makes your inner thighs sing and talk to you. So I'm going to start in my diagonal. I'm going to zip those heels together. So think about that Pilates V stance we did a moment ago when we were on the foot bar. Good. And we're going to come up and we're going to come out and pull together. There's 1. And 2, you want to still try to keep that fist width apart. 3, the tendency here is to get a little sloppy and go out a little bit wider than what you need to. And 4, and we'll reverse that, taking that down, out, up, together. This is what the one reverse that makes it really feel it in the inner thigh. And 2, and 3, and 4. Good. From here, I just bend my knees. We are going to go into a stretch from here. So I'm going to take my left foot out of this strap. I'm going to hang up the strap. Good. And I'm just going to let my right foot come up here. Now notice how I've still got my other foot on my bar. I'm not letting that go. And then I'm just letting that carriage come in to the point where I shouldn't stretch anymore here. I've got a little bit of a bend in my knee. So some of you might be able to come in all the way to the stopper. Most people can't, but if you want more, you can always tug on your rope. You just want to be mindful, no pain, numbness, tingling, or burning. Good. We'll release both hips, both shoulders stay grounded. We'll take that leg out to the side. Some people like to tug in. We'll release. We'll come up, pressing away from the foot bar, arcing over. Good. Switching sides with the hands. And we'll come back up here. Good. Now, I'm going to put a bend in this knee. I'm going to reach back. I'm going to grab my other strap. Good. So I'm going to press into this strap as my other foot comes in. Good. Now I'm going to release that leg that we just strapped out of that strap. It's going to come all the way to the foot bar. Good. You can hang up your other one. Good. This leg will come a little bit longer. Be mindful as you come into the stopper. And then if you want to, you can tug in. Soft knee, non-locked. And then when you're ready, you can take that out to the side. Both hips, both shoulders stay grounded. We'll come back in. We'll press away. We'll arc that over. And we'll come back in. Good. I'm going to bend in. I'm going to carefully release this foot now and carefully undo the strap. We are going to transition to our side now. We'll come up and stay up for the rest of this little mini session here. So I like to have my feet on my bar, and I'm going to lift my hips, and I'm going to really take my hips over to one side. I'm going to bring my knees in. I'm going to use my shoulder rest to carefully come up. Now, for some people, that doesn't work as smooth. And if you're one of those people, that's okay. The best thing, honestly, is to move and transition in the way that's best for you. So I am going to make a little spring change here. I'm going to add on my yellow, and I'm going to take off my blue. So now I'm on one red and one yellow spring. And we're going to come into some lunges and mermaids here to finish, so AKA some nice stretches. So I'm going to come up here. I'll start on this side. I'm going to have two hands on my bar. I'm just going to start on my right side because that's the side that's facing the camera. So most people are fine putting their foot here at the gray foot bar notch. Taller people, those of you that are tighter, have some knee issues, are going to probably want to take that foot a little bit more forward. Your other foot's going to come here. Now, typically in level 1, we cue this with a grounded knee. Some people have knee issues and that's not comfortable. If it's okay for you, you can always hover here, okay? So from here, I'm zipping up. I'm looking forward. I want to think about a nice proud chest because you're coming into a little bit of an extension here. Good. And I'm going to bend. When I bend, this knee should be over or behind the ankle, not forward. So if it's forward, take your foot more forward. Good. And I'm going to drive through that heel as I come back in it. And I'll take it out and coming back in. So this is also getting a hip flexor stretch on the other side. Good. And then from here, we'll just take it back and hold it for a moment. Good. I'm going to lower it down. I am very flexible here, so please do not judge yourself by looking at me. Also note that I've been doing this in yoga now for about 15 years. This was not how I looked when I started Pilates Reformer in 2010. And we'll come back up. Good. So now we're going to lengthen. We're going to get a little bit more into this hamstring, but you want to keep some softness in this knee. So we don't want to lock it out. So from here, you can ground down this knee and come back this way and come back in, kind of a hover, or you can be lifted. So work where you need to work. Good. Now you can't see my foot here. I have my whole foot on the ground. Some people teach and practice this rocking back on the heel. I've never felt that to be comfortable on my heel. but that is also correct. So if that's something that you want to try, feel free. Good. And now let's come back and we'll hold this here for a moment. Probably did a little bit more there, but it's always good to have a few little tips. Good. So also when you're doing these, look forward, try not to look down. If you're looking down here, then you can kind of collapse the chest. If you're looking forward though, then you're more likely to have that proud chest and it feels a little bit better. So we'll come back in. Good. We'll have a seat and we're going to go into Mermaid. There are 3 ways that you can do Mermaid here. And it all depends, honestly, on how you feel in your hips and your knees. So some people do this with the legs off the side of the reformer. Some people do this in crisscross applesauce. Some people do this in the Z. So if you're doing it in the Z, your shin of your pulley side is going to go up against your shoulders, and this back foot here is going to come on the outside of your shoulder rest. Okay, so this is how I'm going to demo, but what we're going to do is we're going to press away from your foot bar and get a side bend. So we want to anchor down just a little bit with this pulley side of the hip. It will not be a perfect anchor for almost everybody, but energetically, we want to take it that way. Hand comes on the bar in line with your shoulder. We'll lift and lengthen and exhale, press away, getting a nice side bend and stretch and moving through center. And we'll counter stretch towards the pulleys. Good. And then we'll come back up. We'll take that again, taking it over, moving through, taking it back to the pulleys. We'll add on rotation here. Rotation here is optional. Some people like it, some people it's not a good idea, so be mindful of your body. You're going to take it over. We're going to rotate. Maybe you touch the bar, maybe you don't. We'll open back up to the side. We'll come back through center. We'll take it back towards the pulleys. You can stay here, optional rotation towards the headrest. And then we'll come back up and we'll come to a seat. Good. So I'm going to carefully undo here. Good. And we're just going to walk around and we'll take that right into the other side. Okay. So from here, starting with your lunges, now I've got my left foot. I'm going to take it right around that gray foot bar notch. I'm going to take both hands on my bar. Good. Now on this side, I'm a little bit more open. So I'm going to practice this one with my knee down, but you take knee up if you need it. Good. I'm looking forward. I've got that proud chest. My belly button is in. And I'm just going to take it back. Good. I'm bending this knee over behind the ankle. And I'm coming back up. And we'll take it again. Good. Looking forward. And we'll take it again. Good. This time we'll take it back and we'll hold it. Good. So I may have forgotten to say this on the other side. Always remember here, you want your belly button to be in. It's not a reason to let it go because we don't want to crunch and have instability and bad things happen here in the low back. And if you've already got low back issues, we don't want to add to it. So we'll come back up here. Good. Now we're going to take it into that hamstring stretch. So I'm going to lengthen here as I take it back. I'm lengthening that left leg, but I'm keeping a micro bend in that knee. It's okay if you need to bend that knee a little bit more as you come back up. Good. And another word to note, so not here on my machine, but at the Y, the machines are a little bit higher off the ground as well. For my own use, I didn't need the legs, so I didn't pay for those on my machine, but the reformer Ys or the reformer machines at the Y are higher. Good. So we'll take this back and we'll hold it. Good. And I do take private reformer sessions here in my home studio. If you have a reformer at home, I can take you on Zoom online if that's something that you're also interested in. Okay, so then from here, we're going to take that Mermaid again. So now you're going to be able to see it from the back view. So just remember, you can take legs off the back. You can be in that crisscross applesauce, or you can be in the Z. So from a different view from the Z, good. So I've got my shin up against the shoulder rest. My foot is on the outside of the shoulder rest here. Okay, I'm going to energetically anchor down this hip. Okay. And then I'm going to make sure that my hand and shoulder in alignment. I'm going to reach and lengthen. Big inhale. Exhale, I'm going to press away. Moving through center. Taking it towards the pulleys. Good. Feels so good. Taking it up. Taking it over. Moving through center. Taking it towards the pulleys. Good. Adding on with rotation. If it's okay for you, we'll take it up. You'll press away. Good. We'll rotate again. You may or may not touch the bar, and it might be completely different for you on this side than the other side. We'll open up. We'll move through center. We'll take it towards that headrest. Gentle rotation. And coming up and coming back to a tall seat. Good. So after that, I try to train all of my people throughout all levels to try to get in the habit of using your feet and your legs and not your hands to push off here. So if you can't, be here, but if you can, arms up, hinge forward, get into the feet, get into the glutes. You'll come all the way up to standing. Yes, my head is cut off here. I'll walk around back here. Good. And then I have people stand about hip width apart. Big inhale, reach and lengthen. Exhale, taking it down. Inhale, reach, 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 and lengthen. Turning palms away, growing taller from crown to tail. Hopefully you feel taller and will walk taller and sit taller after your session. So thank you so much for viewing this instructive reformer introduction. Please let me know if you have any questions. My contact information is at the end of this video. Thank you so much.